All right. You heard that this Iran deal now looks like it is a deal, that the president secured just enough votes, his 34th yesterday with Senator Barbara Mikulski, to avoid a potential override of a veto, which means that even though the House and the Senate will overwhelmingly likely reject this agreement we have with Iran, it won't matter because it's not by the two-thirds majority that you'd need to override that veto. James Woolsey is here, of course, our ambassador, former CIA director, so many other impressive titles here. But James Woolsey, you've been saying it's the whole process that stinks and the vote count that you need. You would have preferred a two-thirds vote to approve it.
Right. I'm very much in league with Andy McCarthy on this, who's done some very scholarly and excellent legal work. This should have been a treaty, obviously should have been a treaty. It's such fundamental importance. No one historically would have made something like this an executive agreement. And as a treaty, it would require two-thirds of the Senate to approve it. So the president.
Why didn't the Senate leadership, the House leadership, push for that?
I have no idea. I think they made a big mistake in not pushing for it then. But there's no reason they can't push for it now, except that it's embarrassing to them. Isn't it? Well, it's politically embarrassing to them. But substantively, as far as the law is concerned, the president hasn't submitted what the statutes require him to submit yet because he hasn't submitted all the annexes. The reason is
what's in it.
They're being hidden from the United States.
But, Ambassador, more than that, I talked to Senator Bob Casey from the fine state of Pennsylvania, Democrat who got off the undecided list and decided to support this.
Yes.
And he was working under the understanding, I put that in quotes, that if Iran really violates this, we have a military option. In other words, by that I assume we could bring in troops to sort of force the issue. That was news to me, and apparently it was news to Ted Cruz. I want you to listen to this exchange with Ted Cruz.
It's good to join you.
Do you know of this military option that's on the table if Iran violates this?
Sadly, no, and every observer knows this president is not willing to use force, military or otherwise, to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. The terms of this deal make that abundantly clear because on the face of this deal, it accelerates Iran's acquiring nuclear weapons.
Is he right?
There are few longer odds in Washington than that President Obama might use force on something like this. There's just not a chance in the dickens.
And I can't imagine it's even in there because the Iranians would never sign up.
Even if he had the authority, and I think he probably does, he's not going to do it. The Frankfurter Allgemeine, a German newspaper, when he said there's a red line and if the Syrians cross it and use chemical weapons, then I'm going to be really tough. The Frankfurter Allgemeine said the red line became a pink line. He would not even, when he had made a declaration like that, move against the Syrians and their use of chemical weapons against the poor Syrian people. I don't think there's any chance.
Well, you know what's troubling about this, Ambassador? Let's say, and I take Senator Casey at his word that that's what the assurance he was given. He's an honorable guy, you know him.
Yeah, well,
and I'm just wondering if he was hoodwinked, if he was fooled, and other Democrats who were on the fence who ultimately became a part of that 34 were similarly hoodwinked.
I think anyone who thinks that President Obama would use force to enforce this agreement has been misled.
But what does that mean now going forward? This deal goes through, but it's a deal that goes through despite hefty majorities in the Senate and the House rejecting it.
Well, like I said, I don't think it goes through because the president hasn't submitted it yet, because he can't, because the substance is being hidden, apparently from him and certainly from the Congress and the American people, in not transmitting the terms. I've negotiated 4 arms control agreements. If I'd come back from any of my negotiations and told the Congress or the Senate, by the way, I'm not going to be able to share all of this with you because the Russians don't want it shared with you.
Just trust me.
What? It's really amazing.
Ambassador Woolsey, thank you very, very much. We appreciate it.